When last have you heard any information about that disease X that was circulating in the Congo? Children were dying. The world was on the edge. Is this a new virus that was coming? Did we need vaccines? And it was all over the news in December, and then it suddenly disappeared. You may wonder to yourself, is it that the disease went away? Or the interest in the disease went away because it turned out to be malaria. Now, there are very few places that you can get this kind of analysis on a disease than what I'm doing at the moment. I am literally integrating all of the science, putting it together in a package that is easy to understand. For those people who have been following me for some time, you may not be aware that I am quietly being removed from YouTube. And so you better make sure, if you want to continue to hear this kind of analysis, that you make sure you follow me on some of my other locations. One of them here is where you can get the full analysis about this disease X. Look carefully at the date here. This was the 12th of December, 2024. That was when I published this. I gave them the full explanation immediately, the same day that they published what was going on, because I knew what was going to happen. You see, based on the extrapolation of the science, you can predict exactly where things are going to be. That's the kind of analysis that you need. And that's where, sadly, I don't know if you're going to find it anywhere else, because no one else seems to be trying to integrate clinical presentation in the way that I do. Now, I'll take you back in time to exactly what happened. So here is the newspaper report that had occurred. That was around the 5th of December 2024. The DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, expects a diagnosis of disease X by the weekend as monkeypox continued to spread. It was a huge story all over the news in the Congo province. What was going on? The disease was characterized by fever, headaches, and cough, and sometimes difficulty breathing. What in the world could we be facing? The disease appeared to be airborne. Wow, this was scary stuff. And as usual, it fed into the narrative that we need a new vaccine to protect against this unknown viral disease. Once they realized that this was not anything that they could use a new vaccine on, the interest died. It was no longer a news story. When I looked up for this just today, I had to actually search in detail to find a news story. And this is what I found. So here we have, and so this was in the Helio News, the 16th of January 2025. Question and answer. The cause of the DRC outbreak identified as a combination of malaria, flu, and malnutrition. How in the world could that happen? And this is why I said, if you want to understand the full analysis, you have to look at the link in the Substack. I really break it down as to how this variant of monkeypox that was spreading in from more contact than from rodents occurred in the Congo, which was different from their endemic monkeypox. How the monkeypox then linked to the fact that all these people came in from all of these companies bringing vaccines to the people. In the process, they probably brought all the viruses with them. And what was fascinating is, and I'm going to show you this here, is the breakdown from what was said by the WHO person. They spoke with a Richard Fosting, infectious hazard management officer for the WHO in the DRC. And so they were following up what was happening in terms of the cases and the deaths, what was the situation. And the latest situation report, published on the 10th of January 2025, covering that period from the 31st of December 2024 to January 9th, in that period, they had 649 new cases bringing the total up to 3,500 cases with 80 deaths, case fatality rate of 2.2%, particularly among children aged younger than 5 years old. 2.2% in children primarily less than 5 years old. And this is not in the news. Nobody knows about this because it's no longer interesting. There is no focus on it anymore. Now, here is the thing. How in the world does malaria and flu get connected? In case you forgot, malaria is a vector transmitted disease, meaning that you need a mosquito to bite someone with the malaria parasite who then gets infected. And then another mosquito has to bite them for them to spread it to someone else. There is no other way of transmitting malaria. Really important. But what they found was that these children were having respiratory symptoms, getting unwell, and dying of what appeared to be malaria. How in the world is that possible? They were having what appears to be an airborne transmission of malaria. It makes no sense. Again, this is why I'm saying you have to integrate the science and know what it is that you're looking for. Let's look a little bit further into this. So, when they looked at the deaths of those children, it was primarily due to a combination of several factors. When they looked at 430 samples tested on December 16, 2024, it showed acute respiratory infections caused by common viruses, influenza A, rhinovirus, SARS-CoV-2, with associated Plasmodium falciparum malaria, exacerbated by severe acute malnutrition. Now, the piece of the puzzle here that makes no sense, and again, you have to understand the science. Influenza has been around for a long time. It has never done that. Rhinovirus has been around for a long time and it has never done that. But SARS-CoV-2, that's a different beast. And you may think, well, what in the world does SARS-CoV-2 have to do with malaria? Well, the reality is that this is where you have to go back to the science. And I'm just going to show you a few slides. I did this in the presentation, but I think it's important just to remind you of it as to what the science is so that you can understand how the two things link. Malaria, this is what happens. Infects blood cell, it then multiplies, then there's a rupture and release of these merozoites. This is the cycle of malaria. You get the infection here, a mosquito that is infected bites someone. These sporozoites get into the bloodstream, they go to the liver, they replicate, then these merozoites then infect red blood cells. These then replicate, then this explodes, produces more merozoites, and it continues in this cycle. A percentage of these then become gametocytes. And these are then picked up by another mosquito and transferred to someone else. So this cycle is purely in the bloodstream. There is no respiratory spread of malaria. Okay, very important. Well, here is the question. Well, what's the connection with SARS-CoV-2? What you have to understand is that many people, because of the high exposure of infected mosquitoes in those regions, a lot of children and adults will have subclinical malaria. That means they are infected, but their immune system is able to control the replication and the spread of the parasite. So when you bring SARS-CoV-2, which does the critical task of infecting cells and blocking interferon, suddenly the immune system can't work. Additionally, it takes out these immune cells. This is what it looks like after an infection. The T cells, B cells, the natural killer cells. These get taken out. So this depleted immune system, on top of severe malnutrition is what causes a reactivation of the malaria. The WHO should be talking to me because they don't seem to understand this. This is critical information. If they don't understand how this integrates and how diseases change based around the spread of SARS-CoV-2, we are in for a torrid time over the next 5 to 10 years, because I will warn you, this virus is going nowhere. Really important to note. This is why I wrote Disease X. I predicted this. We'd been working on this for months before. Are you prepared against Disease X? It's not a new disease. It's about how SARS-CoV interacts with other diseases and creates new presentations. If you don't want to know about that, I can't help, because this is important information. As I said, there is no one else talking about this. And that's part of the reason why I am being silenced, because this information is too serious. It's too important. And it shows up the fact that how could I, just a random doctor, come up with these things and they don't know? These are the important questions. So you have access to it. Don't waste it. Don't take it for granted, because you will not hear it anywhere else. Join, look at the links, try and keep up to date. We are facing a serious crisis. SARS-CoV-2 continues to circulate. It is going to cause diseases to present in different ways. Everybody needs to keep up, because if you don't, you may just be caught in the wave or the storm surge that is coming. Have a great evening. Look at the links below. Make sure you don't lose contact with me. Thank you.